are on OpenView's audio bouquet. Channel 628. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. Listen in on Channel Africa.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
This is Africa Update, your pulse to the continent. Stories, nations, and voices driving change. Stay informed, stay connected, right here. Channel Africa, African perspective.
It is midday, and this is Africa Update coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa at the first South Africa Water Sanitation and Technical Conference, ALCISA, being held in Johannesburg, and we are coming to you live from the Emperor's Palace and on Channel Africa from an African perspective. I'm Lulu Kabu. I know in Auckland Park on the news is Onele Nzinzi, and our sports Msibudi Makura, and our business news is Chanduko Ligege. Coming up in this hour, South Africa's Border Management Authority warns Beitbridge border staff against corruption. And it is the last day of the ALCISA Water and Sanitation Technical Conference in South Africa. But first up, the news with Onele Nzinzi.
The African perspective.
Well, thank you, Lulu, and greetings to our listeners. A court in Gabon has sentenced the former First Lady and the son of deposed President Ali Bongo to 20 years in jail following a 2-day trial. Sylvia Bongo and Nuruddin Bongo were found guilty of embezzlement and corruption after a trial that began a day earlier in their absence. They were both fined $177,000 for financial damages suffered by the Gabonese state. They are accused of exploiting Ali Bongo's condition after he suffered a stroke in 2018 to run Gabon for their own personal profit. They denied the charges ahead of the trial, describing it as a legal farce. China has vowed to work collaboratively with South Africa to drive equality, sustainability and justice. Chinese ambassador to South Africa, Wu Peng, reaffirmed the country's support for South Africa's presidency, committing to Beijing's attendance and full participation. Speaking at the launch of a new book titled Xi Jinping and the Global South in Pretoria, authored by Professor David Munyae from the University of Johannesburg, Wu Peng urged G20 nations to respect the critical role that South Africa's leadership takes.
Of course, in recent news, we all heard that maybe someone will be coming and someone will not. However, China formally supports South Africa's G20 presidency from the very beginning of this year, including we will send senior leaders of China to present in Johannesburg.
A Zimbabwean politician and his uncle are expected to appear before the Pretoria Magistrate Court tomorrow for a bail application on charges of being in possession of explosives. National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson in the Gauteng province, Lumka Mahanjana, says 53-year-old Job Sikala and 78-year-old Alexander Tema were detained after being found with 26 blasting cartridges.
It is alleged that on the 6th of November 2025, the two accused were stopped by police while driving along Hosimamburo Street. When the police searched the car, they found 26 units of blasting cartridge and 15 units of connector cap fuses. In court, the matter was postponed to the 13th of November for a formal bail application. The two are remanded in custody.
The head of Congo's Mpox response, Chris Kasita, says around a third of Mpox vaccines donated by Japan to the Democratic Republic of Congo are being wasted because they cannot be stored once prepared for use. Japan has donated 3 million doses of its LC16 vaccine to Congo to assist in fighting the new form of Mpox known as Clade IB, which spread internationally and sparked a global health emergency last year. The second tranche of 1.5 million doses arrived in Congo in September, around 2 years after the outbreak began. Congo began vaccinating with the LC16 in Kinshasa in August, and more than 500,000 people have now been vaccinated with either the LC16 or the Bavarian Nordics vaccine. The World Health Organization guides countries to expect that between 5 and 50% respectively of vaccines are wasted, with vaccines made like LC16 usually on the higher end due to the storage challenges. Lastly, a Turkish military cargo plane with at least 20 personnel on board has crashed in Georgia after taking off from Azerbaijan. The cause of the crash and the number of casualties are not yet known. President Tayyip Erdogan interrupted a speech in Ankara to offer condolences. This is a term he regularly uses to describe not only combat deaths but also service personnel killed in the course of their general duties. Footage circulating on social media appears to show the plane corkscrewing towards the earth and then bursting into flames. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Zinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, Ronaldo confirms that he will retire after the World Cup in 2026, while AS FAR overcame USFS Bamako in the CAF Women's Champions League. Details of these and other stories coming up at 12:30.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Kabu on Channel Africa.
Well, thank you to Onelin Zinzi with our news update and Msibudi Makura with our sports headlines. It is 12:06 with our news update and Msibudi Makura with our sports headlines. It is 12:06 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Now, South Africa's Beitbridge port of entry with Zimbabwe has been warned that corruption will not be tolerated as part of a government crackdown. Now, the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum has launched an awareness campaign featuring convicted offenders sharing their stories. One offender serving 15 years said prison was very painful and advised officials to stop corrupt activities. And for more on this, we are joined on the line by the Border Management Authority spokesperson, Memme Mogodzi. Memme, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update. Memme, can you hear me? All right, so we seem to be having some connection error there, but we will try and get a better connection with Memme so he can be audible on our platform. Memme, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Great stuff. Thank you for joining us. Now, Meme, tell us what brought about the need for the awareness campaign?
Thank you, and good afternoon to the listeners of Channel Africa. The campaign is a campaign that is very important to the government of South Africa. You'd remember that in March this year, we launched the Border Management, Immigration and Anti-Corruption Forum, which is currently chaired by the Special Investigating Unit. So under that forum, there are a variety of activities that needed to be undertaken, and it was important for us to bring together all law enforcement agencies, organizations that impact on the work of border management. So within that forum, we have organizations like the Special Investigating Unit, we have the Department of Home Affairs, we have Border Management Authority, we have private sector, we also have NGOs, civil society that are also assisting us, in terms of information of what could be done to tackle this. So due to that, we realized that the border management environment is a very vulnerable environment where, there could be temptations where people want to cross illegally. We have intercepted a lot of people based on our records. I mean, if you look at since the BMA was established, we have almost just about 500,000 that people that we have prevented from getting into the country illegally. So it was important for us to say, let's tighten measures to say if we blocked 500,000, there shouldn't be anyone who is attempting to get into South Africa illegally. And we should not only create an environment where there could be temptation to officials where, a traveler would come with no documents and say can pass through. So it was important for us to aggressively bring in a very strong campaign that's not only about being in various platforms and providing verbal, advocacy. We needed to come with a transformative program that will have impact, that will show how serious we are about this campaign. BMA has zero tolerance of corruption. And since it was established 2 years ago, we want to make that very clear to everyone in South Africa and in the world.
Now, just speaking of effective ways of just telling people or the people that work at the border to basically be careful, because once they are convicted and become offenders, it's a totally different world. You've brought in offenders who are in prison serving certain periods in prison because of the actions they took before. Tell us about this particular campaign.
Absolutely. It was very important to bring the verbal advocacy to real life. So what we did, under the Border Management, Immigration and Anti-Corruption Forum, we requested the Department of Correctional Services, because they're also part of the forum. We said, you know what, let's come and showcase real life testimonies and incidents that people who were involved in corruption were impacted on. So what happened is that we brought in inmates. They came, they gave painful testimonies. They used to be in the environment. They committed those acts, but now they're behind bars. So we have to send a very strong message to say this is what will ultimately happen to colleagues who continue to engage in these activities. You'd understand that the border management environment comprises of various organizations. We have the BMA that is in the space as the coordinating body. We have the South African Police Service. We have the South African National Defence Force. We have South African Revenue Services. We have all other travel agents that are facilitating to assist with movement of goods that come through the trucks and that operate in that space. So we had to bring all of them together to say, this is the message.
Now,
this is the message. listen from the horse's mouth.
Now, Beitbridge is a key entry point in the continent. What makes it so vulnerable as a port?
Beitbridge is the leading land port of entry in terms of movement. It does not only facilitate Zimbabwe because it's a border between South Africa and Zimbabwe. It caters for nationalities from Malawi, from Uganda, from DRC, from all over who come through that area. So it is a big port of entry. It's one of the biggest in terms of science. It's one of the biggest in terms of trade, in terms of facilitating goods. It is one of the leading in terms of people. So due to the makeup and I believe people that come through that port, we had to start there. In terms of our data, most of our interceptions are done in that area, but we are not limiting it to Beitbridge.
Okay.
We are going to roll out this activation in all the other ports so that all officials in that port environment are able to receive testimonies and believe it and see. Because the inmates came in their clothing, the correctional services clothes. So it demonstrates that these colleagues, are regretting at the moment. That's what they were saying as well.
Now, very quickly,
they used to have cars, they used to have homes.
Yes. Very quickly, just in wrapping up, are you able to give us an update of the number of investigations and convictions related to corruption there at the border management?
In terms of our consolidated numbers, you'd understand that Home Affairs would have its own interceptions in terms of corruption activities. And recently the minister had announced that there were about more than 50 people that were dismissed at once. So you can see how serious that is. Ever since BMA came into the space, which was 2 years ago, we are talking also our high numbers in terms of dismissals. Just around 10 in the last financial year, we recorded 6 dismissals. Just in the last financial year, from April to April to April this year. So I would like to also indicate that there are a number of investigations that are taking place. And what's our toll-free number that we launched last year, Operation Hit TV? We publicized our number and immediately it ignited travelers to give us information in terms of some of the activities that they are witnessing. So we will be providing a quarterly report in the coming days to provide a consolidated number to say this is what the BMA has been able to achieve. But the investigations at this point, both criminally and in the labor aspect, internally in the organization, I am telling you, they are massive. So we are continuing with that. We are emphasizing our zero tolerance approach, and we are not apologetic about it.
Meme, it's been a pleasure. We'll leave it there for today.
Thank you for having me.
That's Border Management Authority spokesperson Meme Mokgotsi joining us on the line.
Unadhani hili linatokana na nini, Omari?
Nadhani kweli kwamba tukizama muziki ya sasa, hasa wasanii ambao ni chipukizi, kwa kweli kwamba yani karibu kutoka muziki wao wenyewe, lakini wanakuwa wanapenda kuhubiria muziki ya zamani na muziki ya wengine ambao ni hivyo.
Wengine wanadai kufanya hivyo ni kupromote vipaji vyao haraka ili waweze kujulikana. Je, yawezekana kukawa na ukweli wowote au ndio kukosa kabisa kipaji cha kuandika mistari?
Ndio, unaona kwamba msanii anapoazimia kwamba kuchukua wimbo mwingine wa msanii mwingine na kurudia mara mbili studio, haionyeshi kwamba yani ndio wanaanza kazi ya muziki aizani, lakini ukiangalia kabisa asilimia kubwa utakuja kuona kwamba wanakosa ile mawazo ya kutunga muziki.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Africa Update with Luluka Boo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Well, today is the final day of ALCISA, the first Africa Water and Sanitation Technical Conference that is being held in Johannesburg, South Africa. Sanitation Technical Conference that is being held in Johannesburg, South Africa. A number of topics have been discussed this week, including from countries across Africa and the world. Uganda, Ghana, Kenya, and Morocco are some of the countries from Africa that were in attendance. Now, one topic was lessons from low-income urban communities in Ghana. And to tell us more about this topic, we are joined live here at the venue by Nancy Godson, a Social Development Export Officer in charge of Low-Income Customer Support Department, GWL, Accra West Region. Nancy, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to have that you had me here.
You know, I know we literally got you off stage when you were busy in a plenary. Thank you for making time for us. Now, Nancy, tell us about some of the lessons that Ghana has learned from this first ALCISA conference.
Okay, so this is our first time, and I understand this is the first kind of conference that has been organized, and I must say that the experience has been great. I've had to learn from a lot of other African countries, what they are doing, the innovations, capacity building, the technologies that are in use now. I mean, a lot from day one to date. I just missed the first day, the site visit, which I'm hoping to cover up. But then from the day 2 to today, I've really enjoyed every bit of it, and I must say I've learned a lot to take back to Ghana.
Now, tell us about the situation in low-income urban communities in Ghana. What are you faced with?
Okay, so in low-income urban communities, because they are hidden in the urban sector, most of the time we are tempted to think everyone in the urban sector should be okay. But then when you go there, they face a lot of sanitation and water issues. So when there are breakouts of cholera and other health wash-associated diseases, these are the main areas that you will find it. Unfortunately for them, these people are not able to pay the initial connection fees to get connected to the main urban utility, which I work with, Ghana Water. So in order to be able to serve these ones, not neglecting them, because we know SDG is encouraging everyone to be on board, or for every household to get access to water, we decided to do a community approach where we pay much attention to the low-income dwellers. Hitherto, we just lay the lines through the communities, and then those interested and are able approach the utility, and then we give them our services. But through this initiative that I am proudly part of, we do not wait for them to come to us. Through the support of other donor companies, especially the World Bank, the VEI, and other utilities such as Danida. Through their support, we are able to support such people by subsidizing the initial connection fee for them. And we also encourage them to make prompt payments, because we realize that without the subsidies or without the connection to us, they're actually making more payments to access water by their pay-as-you-fetch routine that they do. But then connecting to our network makes it more cheaper. So the only barrier that was setting them apart from us was the initial connection fee, which we've slided or subsidized to about 75% so that they are able to afford. And I must say, so far we've been able to connect more than 40,000 low-income households in Ghana.
And what is your takeaway from this conference? And what have you learned? Today is the final day.
Yes.
And everything is compact.
Very.
What have you learned, and what is your takeaway from this?
Okay, so it's not just enough. I think we need to employ more innovations to be able to serve them well. And I've also come to realize that there are other partners who are ready to work with us to make it better. So I think the innovative part or the technology part, we have to collaborate with other partners who are around, and then see how best we can serve our people in Ghana better. Yes.
And with the low-income communities, what are you finding once you came forward and started laying down the groundwork in terms of giving them access to water and assisting with the initial financial cost? What is their reaction?
they are very excited. I brought some of the pictures during my presentation. You'll see, some of them never thought of connecting to the national grid. They never dreamt of it. So it's like a dream come true. They feel very important. They feel very accepted in the community to be part of the national grid. It's been very successful, I must say, because before our interventions, they were already paying for water. So the payment has not really been an issue. Their issue were the fact that they had to wait till the end of the month so that they pay the bill, which is bulk. But then we've been able to educate them on how they can pay daily through some of our services, e-platforms. We've been able to educate them to pay daily. So it has not been a problem. I think they are happy. They are happy with the initiatives that we brought on board.
What has been an outstanding, topic that was focused on that really brought you to your feet, basically?
Okay, so there was a great outbreak of cholera in one of our very densely populated communities in Accra. And then the national water utility, that is Ghana Water, was approached. And then we found out how we could help. So World Bank actually came in to support. There was already an ongoing project, the Gamma project. But that was basically for laying of pipelines. But after this outbreak, they thought it wise to bring the social aspect where people are not just seeing the pipelines passing through their community, but they're actually benefiting. So that was the turning point for this initiative.
And here at the conference, you have to have had a favorite speaker.
Yes.
And just talk to us about them and why in particular them.
Okay, so I was privileged to be part of the Women in And then I was quite encouraged, and I felt like, yes, we are getting there. We are not leaving anyone behind. Now the women are in. We are getting there. We are not leaving anyone behind. Now the women are in full force, and then we are doing great things. I think I learned a lot from them, and I've noticed some one or two people that I'll try and talk to before I leave South Africa.
Well, Nancy, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update.
You're welcome. I'm very, very happy to be here too.
Great
Thank you.
stuff. That's Nancy Godson, who is Social Development Expert Officer in charge of Low Income Customer Support Department, GWL, Accra West Region, joining us live here from the venue in Johannesburg, where the first Africa Water and Sanitation Technical Conference is underway, and we are coming to you live from here.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Muranziwa means my love in Xitsonga. So if you're listening to this, just know that you are my love. Yes. You and I are an item. We are dating. We are together. So I love you, baby. Why are you blushing? Why are you blushing? Like, haven't you heard somebody confessing their love to you? I mean, you gotta get used to it now, because I'm gonna tell you this every day, that I love you. I can tell you, there are so many people who are never told they are loved. I come to the studio every Monday, 12 to 3, because I've got an appointment with you. I take you serious. Forget the person, right? Muranziwa.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
It is 26 after 12 Central African Time.
Channel Africa.
It is 26 after 12 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. We are at in the east of Johannesburg at the First Water Sanitation Conference, a technical conference, which is underway here in Johannesburg. Today is the final day, and as you heard, we are going to be speaking to a number of individuals and executives. Now, in a historic achievement, South Africa has manufactured its first vaccine in more than 50 years. Health Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi says the development of the oral cholera vaccine will reduce the country's reliance on international pharmaceutical companies and strengthen its ability to respond to future health crises. Dr. Motsoaledi was speaking at the launch of the vaccine's clinical trials at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto. Calvin Mabasa has more.
Health Minister citizens are not left behind should another pandemic strike. The minister recalled the challenges South Africa faced in securing vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic. He says the oral cholera vaccine represents a key step in reclaiming the country's ability to protect lives and quickly respond to public health threats.
The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the dangers of this dependence, where access to life-saving vaccines was often determined not by need, but by geography and global inequities. Today, we take a decisive step towards changing that story. We changing our own story and writing our new chapter in history. Building local vaccine manufacturing capability is not just a luxury, it is a national necessity. It strengthens our sovereignty, enhances our health security, and ensures that our people are not left behind.
Gauteng Department of Health's MEC Nomantunko Morale-Huku has welcomed the launch, saying it will help save lives.
Vaccine will help us indeed in terms of preventing whatever diseases that have been happening. You remember last year the number of people that were to lose because of cholera. Now at least we know that there is this launch of this new vaccine that is going to help us.
The oral cholera vaccine, created locally by BioVac in collaboration with the South African Medical Research Council, started development in 2022 and has now entered its first phase of clinical trials to test its effectiveness against cholera. BioVac CEO Dr. Morena Makwana says this trial will test South Africa's ability to develop vaccines from scratch and be prepared for future pandemics.
Outbreaks of cholera. It does two things. The first thing that it does is that it prepares us for outbreaks and pandemics. So whilst we don't have a big cholera outbreak, but we need to be pandemic ready, we need to be outbreak ready. So when the next pandemic, this really would be a test about whether we can develop products from scratch and we can be able to be...
Participants in the clinical trial say they have not experienced any negative side effects so far. Its manufacturers say it is targeting markets beyond South Africa, while government officials stress that providing clean drinking water remains a national priority. Calvin Mabasa, SABC News in Johannesburg.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:30 Central African.
12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:30 Central African Time, and our news headlines up next with Onele Nzinzi.
The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. A court in Gabon has sentenced the former First Lady and the son of deposed President Ali Bongo to 20 years in jail following a two-day trial. On Tuesday night, Sylvia Bongo and Nuruddin Bongo were found guilty of embezzlement and corruption after a trial that began a day earlier in their absence. China has vowed to work collaboratively with South Africa to drive equality, sustainability and justice. Chinese ambassador to South Africa, Wu Peng, reaffirmed the country's support for South Africa's presidency, committing to Beijing's attendance and full participation at the G20 summit. And Israel has today reopened the Zakim crossing in northern Gaza to allow humanitarian and trucks into the enclave. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. I am Musibudi Makura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. CAF Women's Champions League 2025 action continued on Tuesday as AS FAR of Morocco continued their status as one of the tournament's favourites with a 2-0 victory over US FAS Bamako of Mali. Now the Moroccan champions controlled the tempo from start to finish, displaying their trademark discipline as well as experience. So with that victory, AS FAR strengthened their position in the group and take a major step towards qualification for the knockout stages, while US FAS Bamako will look now to bounce back in their next match against FC Massa to keep their hopes alive. Meanwhile, FC Massa delivered a statement performance on match day 3 of the CAF Women's Champions League, producing a dominant 5-0 victory over 50 da Acosta to underline their credentials as serious title contenders. Now, the emphatic wins also send FC Massa to the top of Group A, putting them in a very strong position ahead of their final group match against US FAS this coming Saturday. Further field now, Portugal striker Cristiano Ronaldo has confirmed the 2026 FIFA World Cup will be his last. The 40-year-old, who has now scored 953 goals for club and country, also said he would retire from football in 1 or 2 years. Now, next year's World Cup taking place in Canada and Mexico, as well as the United States, would be Ronaldo's 6th. In an interview at the Torreza Summit in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, when asked whether 2026 would be his last World Cup, Ronaldo, who plays for Al Nassr in the Saudi Arabian League, is the all-time leading men's international goal scorer with 143 goals, while he also continues to pursue his milestone of 1,000 career goals. The former Manchester United, Real Madrid, as well as Juventus player said last week that he would retire soon, but also confirmed on Tuesday that this will be his last World Cup for his country.
As I tell you before, I feel very good in this moment. I score goals. I still feel quick and sharp. Enjoy my game in the national team and Al Nassr. But of course, let's be honest. When I mean soon, it's probably 1-2 years. I'm still be at the game.
So you expect this World Cup to be your last, do you?
Definitely yes, because I will be 41 years old.
On to rugby news now. The Springboks made a commanding start to their Autumn Nations series in Europe with back-to-back victories over Japan as well as France. Now, with a strong physical challenge expected against Italy in Turin this weekend, the South Africans will not be taking the foot off the gas. Centre of the shock centre, Ethan Hooker, is likely to be recalled to the number 12 position alongside Cannon Moody, and this is what he had to say in the build-up to Saturday.
Just trying to get myself into the team first is what's ideal for me. Whether it's at wing, at centre, I was really fussed. Just trying to better myself as a player as a whole. I love the fact that I can play both centre and wing. Just sticking to that versatility and just developing my game in both areas is what's important to me.
Still on rugby news, Namibia's national rugby side will have to beat Samoa in their 2027 Rugby World Cup qualifier on Thursday, and then hope that Samoa beat Belgium in their final match on the 18th of November. Namibia lost 22-15 to Belgium in their opening match at the final World Cup qualifier in Dubai over the weekend. So with Samoa now beating Brazil 48-10 in the early match on Saturday, Belgium as well as Samoa are now in the pound seats for the final ticket to the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia, and Namibia must now hope that the other results do go their way in order to advance to the global showpiece in 2027. And finally, world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz came under extreme pressure before overcoming American Taylor Fritz 6-7, 7-5 and 6-3 in a thrilling round-robin match at the ATP Finals on Tuesday, leaving the Spaniard on 2 wins from 2 matches. Just last year's finalist Fritz played the tennis of his life as both men served up the best encounter of the season-ending championship so far, but the American ran out of steam as Alcaraz turned on the style and then took the deciding set with ease. Alcaraz as well as Fritz had won their opening Jimmy Connors group matches, and the Spaniard also looked in real trouble when the American took the opening set tie-break. Alcaraz faced break points in the second but rallied back to draw level, ultimately winning that game in 3 sets. And that's a wrap from the Sports Desk at the SAWA. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you and good afternoon. Political parties in South Africa's parliament have expectations for the medium-term budget policy statement, including measures to create jobs and grow the economy. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana will deliver the 2025 statement in Parliament this afternoon. It comes much later because the process to adopt the budget was unusually late this year. The African National Congress MP Dr. Joe Maswanganyi and the Democratic Alliance's MP Dr. Mark Burke.
We saw the statistics being more positive, 248,000 jobs being created. We need more to dent youth unemployment.
Our focus today is on the spending of this government. We need to make sure that current spending is done a lot more efficiently. We'll do that through spending reviews, which needs to become an embedded culture of how we run our budgets. And at every budget cycle, we need to have these spending reviews and their outcomes and the savings therefrom announced.
One of South Africa's opposition, the Inkatha Freedom Party, says it expects an increase in budget for frontline services such as education and health. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is expected to deliver his medium-term budget policy statement in Parliament this afternoon. IFP Chief Whip in Parliament Nhlanhla Hadebe explains what they are looking out for.
To increase the allocation for the frontline departments, your education, your police, your health, as well as the social development, to mitigate the burden imposed by the regressive fiscal measures like the fuel increase and the non-increase of the zero-rated food basket. And lastly, to come up with a coherent strategy to sustain the 1 trillion infrastructure investment.
One of South Africa's top retail banks, the First National Bank FNB, has launched a new cross-border payment platform with MasterCard. The platform aims to make remittances and international transfers easier and cheaper. The global platform will help customers looking to send money to other African countries like Zimbabwe, Malawi, Mozambique and Ghana. FNB says it also aims to eventually extend the service across its network in Africa. In other news, Turkish telecoms operator Turkcell has signed an agreement with Google for strategic cooperation on cloud technologies. In the statement, Turkcell says that it will expand its data center infrastructure. It also says it plans to invest $1 billion until the end of 2032 as part of the deal. In Asia, Chinese companies in the European Union says business conditions in the bloc have deteriorated for a sixth consecutive year, with rising labor costs and political challenges pressuring their operations. A survey for the China Chamber of Commerce to the EU of 200 Chinese companies organizations say that the bloc's performance in research, talent and market access represented obstacles. In the survey, Chinese companies and organizations gave an overall score of 61 points to the EU business environment, down from 73 points in 2019 and a point lower than in 2024. Now let's shift our focus to financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is 1,000 naira, 436 in Botswana, 13 pula 23, Kenya, the dollar is 128 shilling 23. Zambia, 22 kwacha 57. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 real 28. In Russia, 81 rubles 15. India, 88 rupee 54. China, 71.12. South Africa, 17 rand 14 cents. $1 is 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Commodities, gold is trading at $4,132. Platinum at $1,571 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil at $64.75 a barrel. That is all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update, only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Oh, thank you to Chanduko Legege with our business. Thank you to Chanduko Legege with our business news. It is 12:44 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa at the first Africa Water Sanitation Technical Conference, which is underway here in Johannesburg. Now, the African Peer Review Mechanism 5th Youth Symposium has concluded with a call for young people across Africa to be at the center of political development in their respective countries. Our youth from the 55 African Union member states met in Johannesburg, South Africa, at the symposium, which sought to empower the youth as agents of good governance and sustainable development, as well as strengthen interlinkages between AU institutions, national governments, and youth networks for participatory governance. Nhlanhla Mahlangu has more.
The youth-centered symposium, organized jointly by the APRN, and the need for more youth-responsive political systems across Africa. In her concluding remarks, the Chief Executive Officer of the African Peer Review Mechanism, Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose Quatre, says African governments, institutions and citizens must take a more active role in engaging young people in governance, innovation and sustainable development.
We appreciate and share your hunger for governance that is transparent, for economies that unlock opportunities for the have-nots, and for leadership that is responsive to its young people. Your reflections have not been uttered in vain. We will take your messages, your resolutions, your hopes, and your challenges to every corner of our institutions. Beyond piquing academic interest, your ideas must tangibly shape policies. The journey ahead of us will be undertaken collectively. Working hand in hand, we will unleash digital creativity and defiance to demand systematic accountability. This symposium's discussions will inform the Africa Governance Report of 2027, through the implementation of our APRM strategic plans, through our collaboration with national parliaments, civil society organizations, and youth councils.
Centered on governance issues, the symposium highlighted the importance of sustained investment in young people as a cornerstone for promoting good governance and inclusive growth across the continent. Spesihle Makanya, Deputy Chairperson of the South African National Youth Development Agency, says young people must be at the center of development.
As we close this gathering, it's important that one message that must really be clear is that young people across Africa must be at the center of political developments in their respective countries, must be at the center of driving policies and innovation within their respective countries, and not be afraid to resist policies which don't speak to what young people hope and aspire for in their countries. We must have a voice in geopolitics. We've got growing pressure across the world of trying to influence the direction that Africa is taking.
City of Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says there's a need to ensure the full participation by young people on the continent.
Young people oftentimes express their dissatisfaction and have taken to modern ways of mobilizing, such as social media, and in other cases, they take to the streets. However, there's still a need for young people to amplify their voices and advocate for their futures. African cities are at the center of African development, and the residents of our cities are youthful. It is for that reason that a dialogue of this nature, where matters of peace and security are debated and discussed, we need to ensure full participation by young people in this continent.
The symposium heard deliberations on key governance priorities, including peace and security, economic inclusion, and digital transformation. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
From Channel Africa, about to have ourselves a good time right now.
Come on, brother,
It's a whole thing.
You've partnered up with Ufocalistic, based on a true story.
You know, it's actually crazy for you to put it like that, partnered up. You know, this is someone I look up to from a very long time. 3 years ago, we put out a single, Pele Pele.
Yeah.
You know, that was my first record with him. This project, based on a true story, the album was so highly anticipated and premeditated on our end, you know, because something we constantly, you know, kept on going back and forth about, but we never actioned it. It's actually quite crazy because all of this is happening whilst we are both working on our albums. You know, I'm working on my album 31314 because there's a record, 31314, the interlude. So it's like a prelude to the album, you know.
Let me pronounce it properly. Is it 31314? 31314.
The Upside, live and real. It's dynamic. With gratitude for the voices, the rhythm, and the dreams that unite us all.
Roho ya Afrika inaishi katika kila hadithi tunayosimulia.
Each new day is a gift, a reminder to pause, to breathe, and to give thanks for the laughter we share and the journeys we take and the stories that shape who we are.
Cada nascer do sol lhe lembre de algo pelo qual ser grato.
La vie est un voyage, parcourons-la avec gratitude.
Channel Africa, celebrate the beauty of life with gratitude for the voices, the rhythms, and the dreams that unite us all. This is Africa with Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Well, this is Africa Update.
On Channel Africa.
Well, this is Africa Update. We're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa at the first Africa Water and Sanitation Technical Conference underway in the east of Johannesburg. We're coming to you live from here. But before we continue, Tebogo Lekoleni, you are in studio. What is coming up on the Upside today?
Hey, good afternoon, Lulu. Here's exploring, and we'll be getting into conversation as global leaders gather at the Ryder, in Ryder rather, for the inaugural Tourist Summit to redefine the future of travel and tourism. And then I'll be joined in studio by South African comedian, award-winning comedian, Pele Pele ahead of his performances in South Africa, because he's bringing his latest show, which brings the heat to the Gibson Kente Theatre. I personally, Lulu, I know you'll be listening to us. Personally, I've had conversations with comedians, and you know how you think that comedians are super funny all the time? More often than not.
Yeah, I discovered they're not, actually. They're just normal human beings like the rest of us.
But the brains behind these people, I love the way that they think and analyze situations. So I'm looking forward to having Upele Pele in the studio and discussing what's coming up in his performances and what's coming up for him for the rest of the year.
Most definitely we'll be tuning in.
And what's coming up for him for the rest of the year.
Most definitely we'll be tuning in. That's Tebogo Lukuleni of the Upside team with Matseko Musito. They'll be taking over from the top of the hour.
The African Perspective.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gabu on Channel Africa.
You know, anything where there are children, young people, the youth coming up and in any environment and space, this is one of the in any environment and space, this is one of the places where I'm thinking, wow, I see young people here, girls and boys, and I want to find out what they're doing here. It is a water and sanitation conference, and it is a technical one, but I have a young lady here. Her name is Kaneho. Kaneho, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Which school do you come from, and why are you guys here?
I'm from HB Secondary School in Davidson, and we're here to learn about water and sanitation.
Okay, and what did you find interesting at this conference?
Everything was so fun.
Okay, everything is fun. So what did you learn? What are you going to take away in terms of, you know, obviously they talk about how we should save water and things like that on a daily basis. But what are you and your friends looking forward to taking back to your school and just having discussions as young people?
So when we get back to school, we're going to tell them that it is important to take care of our water and protect our nation so that we cannot run out of water. And
also the safety of drinking safe water?
Yes.
Okay, it's very interesting. I saw a number of children here from different schools. I'm not sure, we couldn't find another young person to speak to. There's a crowd of them here, but Kaneho's representing this particular school, and it's quite interesting. Every one of them seems like they know why they're here, and it's very interesting that the youth is here, and it's a good thing. Well, we are going to let Kaneho go, and Kaneho, it was a pleasure talking to you, and we wish you all the best, and hopefully we're going to hear about you later, working in this department or coming up with some brilliant ideas.
Thank you.
Right. Well, that is Kaneho from Davidson High School in Davidson, and she is joining us live here at the venue where the First Africa Water and Sanitation Technical Conference is underway. I mean, you should see this. I think Renee Lue needs to take a number of pictures of these young people who are here and who are quite keen to find out exactly, what is happening. Today is the final day, and, okay, I'm going to ask all of you to just come to the back here behind me, and we can take a nice group photo, because this is going to be great for everyone to see that young people are keen and interested. Have a seat here. Have a seat, yes. Great stuff. There's a lot happening here, a hive of activity. We've been talking to the adults and just finding out, from the adults' perspective as to why this summit is taking place. And the young people here are going to take this forward. And when you get colors in school, in high school, I see we've got a public speaking member here of the debate team, and a number of them have these colors and badges. And I promise you guys, where there are children, we have a bright future ahead of us. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And please stay tuned and have a look at our social media, and you'll see the updates there. It will be uploaded. It is Channel Africa coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, on OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za. And continue with us on all our social media platforms. And I'm Lulu Gabu. It's been a great couple of days. Today is the final day, and we will continue back in studio in Auckland Park tomorrow. And we are looking forward to this. But what a lovely way to end this outside broadcast, surrounded by young people, the future generation. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
GPV zikuwononga myoyo komanso phwasula mizi zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo